Welcome back to the Mastering Runeterra podcast with Jay and Bay, the number one source for competitive Legends of Runeterra news and information. If you're looking for the best decks to play right now, be sure to check us out on Twitter at Master Runeterra or in our Discord. And if you want to take the next step in leveling up your game, check out our Runeterra team on Patreon, where we do weekly learning calls and one-on-one coaching. Now strap in and grab yourself some Poro snacks, because we are about to start Mastering Runeterra.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Mastering Runeterra podcast. We got a great show for you today. Before we jump into everything, though, we have to thank all of our patrons, our subscribers. Thank you guys so much. Help keep us keeping the lights on over at Mastering Runeterra, and allows us to bring you awesome stuff like this podcast and all the tools and articles and stuff that we produce. So seriously, thank you guys so much. We have lots more awesome stuff for you coming up. Really excited to share things when we can. Okay, so let's jump into today's episode. Where do we begin, Majiin? Maybe should we touch on the announcement a little bit?
Yeah, let's talk about it really quick.
Pivot to PvP. Back to PvP. It was a quick pivot. Pivot to PvE.
Like a week.
Well, I mean, it was a couple months, but if they
was
they
it?
announced,
oh no, from the release of Path 2, wasn't it like 2 weeks or something?
Yeah, it was 10 days. But I meant from like the pivot, they're like, we're pivoting to PvE announcement, and then back to PvP. To me, it's like, you know what? They were like, they ran out, they caught the football, and then they were like, oh, guy's coming. Like, nope, deke out, roll around him, and like, no, other guy's coming, guy deke back, go back this way. It's fine. You know what happens? You in, out. Here you go.
It looks like, to me, it's like they went long, threw it, caught it one-handed, decided they didn't like football, and walked off the field. That's what it seems like to me.
Yeah. So you're notoriously the pessimist. What's your deal? Yeah. We're supposed to be. We're the PvP players.
Deal.
what's your like actual though? What's your issue with it? Because I think there's lots of issues that be had with it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm curious what yours is personally. And then I'm also interested because back when like PvE was happening and shit was, we had the episode where I was like, where's all the new stuff? Remember we listed it out, and I was like, this PvE? Is bullshit. Yeah. And you were kind of like, no, it's all good. We got PvE. It's awesome. Lots of new people are coming. And I was like, what's your problem? What's your deal? And then now here we are on the other side of the coin, and I'm like, what? Are you just devil's advocating? Tell me what's going on.
Maybe whatever you say is just, I say the opposite. No, I'm trying to look more at like, I guess the more zoomed out picture of LOR as a whole, and less like what it means for me and people like me, right? Because like I'm like you in that I just want to play PvP. I don't care about PvE. I don't care about PvE like basically at all. But I want PvE to do well because that means that LOR does well. And not saying that PvE didn't or doesn't do well, because I don't like, that's not why they dropped it. But LOR is being downsized basically. We're losing developers, we're losing resources, and they're saying that you look like you had something to say there.
I did. Yeah. So this is really,
go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So when PvE came out, and I, amongst others, were like, oh, like this is where all the resources went. This is, and it did for some point for sure. Like this is why we aren't getting new stuff, new draft formats, new any format, new anything, because this is where all the resources are going. Like they're working on a lot of this and like whatever new cards, I guess. But I remember the response that came back from a lot of people, and I thought Riot, was that, remember, everyone was like, it has its own separate budget, and and that was kind of like, that was kind of hard to accept because like, well, that's still just more money that could have got pumped into PvP or whatever. But they did definitely hire a bunch of people for PvE, and there's like a bunch of these new devs, and we saw lots of pictures on Twitter where it's like PvE day with my PvE team. So to me, it's like those people just came in and then they left. And so the whole, like, to me, it's not like, I don't see it getting downsized. It's like they legit hired a bunch of people for Path, and then now they are relocating those same people. So from my understanding,
away from LOR.
Yeah. So I mean, it did expand to include PvE and then shrink back down to not include PvE, which I guess
which
is
like
true.
is downsizing, right? And like that decision didn't come from like the developers, right? That decision came from higher ups. They looked at
I think it
LoR
came
and said,
specifically from Dave.
"You think I don't know, man."
And here's why.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, so here's why.
Okay.
Here's why. So yeah, because the thinking could be along the lines of someone higher up for whatever reason. Maybe like some of the thinking was maybe they have so many other things going on that they wanted to put those other devs other places. Was that maybe what you were thinking, kind of thing?
I think kind of, but more pessimistic. More like they looked at LoR and said, "Okay, let's cut back on that. We can. Yeah. So these devs are better used elsewhere."
Yeah, so that doesn't make a lot of sense either, right? They just hired these people like months ago, like 2-3 months ago,
a year and a half ago.
No, they hired them.
How long do you think they've been working on Path of Champions?
Well, the ones that they hired for Path of Champions though were like recent. They were like this year, very recent. That team just got built out, like because Path 1 got released like November, I think.
Sure, so they've probably been working on it since the year.
Then they started hiring people though.
Before.
This like PvE team they started hiring.
Okay. Sure.
So so that was a big question mark for me as well. That were these devs taken, more or less, right? For whatever reason, and on Twitter, one of those devs was specifically like Dave, the for anyone that doesn't know, who's basically the head of LoR now, has been really awesome, and he's been getting us positions at other projects in Riot. So it wasn't like they were taken and they knew where they were going. It was like he decided that like they couldn't do both, and they had to choose a lane. And the lane that they chose was PvP.
And the more you talk about it, the more I'm convinced that's absolutely not what's happening.
But that's specifically what he said on Twitter.
You're cementing me more and more in the other direction.
So he specifically said that on Twitter, though.
He said, I made this decision. I wanted to cut all these devs.
He said we.
And I wanted LoR to get less resources. That's what he said.
So they couldn't do both. And I think...
Yeah, because someone up top said, you can't do both. We're giving you too many resources.
So I think they couldn't do both because it's a technical issue.
Really?
Because, so remember, like, they got rid of Cross Shard because they couldn't build other stuff. It was interfering with them building other things. That was the reason they give for getting rid of Cross Shard, right? Because it was awesome. They liked it. We liked it. It was great. The problem was a technical issue where it's just making stuff break. And LoR is, like we've seen, like there's bugs at seasonals. There's, they made these changes to how the game works. Lots of bugs. New sets come out, bugs. It's not as easy. Like we're not devs. We don't know exactly. But there's things like Counter-Strike, for instance, like 1.6, like old Counter-Strike. They like had lots of issues with it that they would have loved to change, but they literally just couldn't because it was just a mountain of code, just like a never-ending amount of code that no one person could even come close to like totally understanding and knowing. So they would change something and be like, oh, okay, like this chicken doesn't blow up anymore, or like whatever. They would change one thing and something else would break elsewhere, and they couldn't figure out how to like make it all work. And so same with League, right? Like League is a massive game with all of Riot's funding, and they have lots of bugs and stuff, right? Like it's not as easy as just like, oh yeah, just no problem. We'll just do whatever we want. And so, think about LoR, how intricate it is, right? Like just there's so much going on with the visuals and the voice lines, and like that's one layer, which is very intricate. And then the game mechanics itself of like how all the different cards interact with each other and how everything has to happen seamlessly with, the board in your hand and the nexus. And it's a lot. There's a lot going in there. So he said specifically that like they had to basically choose a path forward, and it had to be like one or the other. And I think that's why.
Okay. I don't agree.
Fair. I mean, the guy said it himself. So that's...
I don't ever believe anything. Nope.
Anyone says ever?
Basically, they're usually lying or like not telling the truth.
I think you're a great person.
I am the pessimist.
And I think you're awesome and you're just the best ever.
And I'm so
you'll take that.
Trusting.
Oh, you'll take that.
It's funny because like when it comes to like person to person, I am very trusting. Like if you tell me something, I will believe you until I have like even if I have a reason not to, I will believe you until proven otherwise. But anytime any kind of corporation says anything, it's not even worth the paper it's printed on to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's the same thing with like corporations pander to whatever they think will get the best results, I guess, you know? And maybe that's like an incredibly cynical way of thinking, but I think it's been shown that that's generally how it is.
Yeah,
now, do I want to be like,
right?
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying like, oh my God, they're covering up for, they're gonna cut the game in 6 months, and also they murdered those 2 devs out back. Like I don't think that at all, right?
It's a big conspiracy, deep state.
I think what's happening is the game is being downsized for whatever reason. It could be a technical issue. It could be a monetary issue. It could just be they want to move things into a different direction, right? It could be whatever it is. But the end statement is the game is being downsized, and they wanted to coach that in or cushion that with the most positive wording they could, and that's the way they approached it. And then I think since the game's being downsized, like there is no positive spin. There is no this is good for us, no matter how you look at it.
Okay, hold on. So there is a new roadmap coming at the end of summer. If that roadmap is, hey guys, here's a bunch of stuff that we've been asking for, is that not?
No, that's awesome. That's great, but that has nothing to do with this, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm saying, that there's no additional resources to PvP. There's nothing gained. We're only losing. That's it, right? Like so, no matter what, this is a negative. No matter even for people like us who are only in PvP, we're not actually gaining anything. Maybe in the future that will change. Maybe they'll be like, oh, well, now we don't have to worry about this stupid poopy PvE. We can give them draft or something. But
I think we gained a shift in direction that is going to be very beneficial for the game. So that's why I am on the positive.
I hope so.
I wanted to touch on your point about not trusting what corporations say and stuff. And Riot has been very good to both of us. I want to put it out there. And so, they've bought themselves a lot of like goodwill. Not that I'm like pandering. I rip them apart more than anyone, I feel. Like I will right now. But their word is shot to hell. Right? Like hey, 7 months, we learned from what we
take some time off and rebuild.
Take some time off and come back and make some changes. And like, hey, guess what? We changed nothing and learned from nothing. And like, here's just this thing.
It's because it's funny because when LOR tells me that, I don't believe them. If Ruben hit me up and said, yo man, here's what we've been working on, I believe him. It's funny how that works, right?
Well, this is the thing. Did you read Dave Tron's tweets? Did you see those?
Yes, it was nothing. There was nothing in there. There was
the fifth point though specifically was like, they had to choose a path. But yeah, I wish. Also speaking of him, I reached out to him on Twitter.
He's a nice guy. I really like him, by the way. I know
he's been very active.
I really like him.
He's been very active on Twitter, which the other leads have been. We haven't seen or heard from them in like a year. Basically, they were very active when the game first came out, and then they all kind of just disappeared for the most part, or moved on or whatever. But I reached out to a bunch of them, and I reached out to our contacts at Riot, and we got Ruben on the podcast, which was awesome. But what we've been trying to get is someone at a high level or in charge or has something to do with competitive or organized play, and never anything. So I reached out to Dave on Twitter. He immediately messaged me back, and I was like, hey, would you do you have a couple minutes to spare to come on the podcast and like try to talk to the community and like dispel some of these fears and explain what is going on. And like everyone has these different thoughts and there's a lot of misunderstanding. People don't know what's going on. He immediately messaged me back and was like, hey, I'm really busy at the moment, but I'll get back to you by the end of the week. And he messaged me today, a couple days later. I was like, hey, sorry it took so long. Yeah, happy to do it. Let's like figure out how to schedule it or whatever. So, whether that does or does not happen, like the amount of interaction and, being part of the community, I think is fucking great. Like he's like acting more like a Mort dog, who I've always been super jealous of TFT for having someone like that. That's like just super
he's incredibly active in the community. Yeah.
But that's like
fantastic.
It's the dream. Yeah, and but the releases though, like, yeah, they're like, hey, things are going to change in 7 months, nothing, and they're like, nothing's going to change with, and I think the reason that that's happening is that there's just a disconnect between like the top and the people doing the messaging, which happens, right? Like, because that's PR. Like, you're not going to be like, hey, we're going to take some time off, and then also, we'll do what we want, and we'll see you fucking later.
That's what I say.
Yeah, that's us. We don't have shareholders. Okay, all right. Well, I wrote an article about it. Go read it.
It's a well-written article. I read it today.
Thanks. Do you like the part about the Quaaludes?
I did, actually, yeah. I only know what Quaaludes are because of Wolf of Wall Street.
That's the only reason I know either. That's the only reason anyone knows. Let's be real.
That's the only reason anyone knows what Quaaludes are, yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? We're not going to have to wait long, right? End of summer is like, whatever, 3 months, 2 months away, something. So if this new roadmap is like a joke, like, all right.
Well, you're going to hear about it. I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be on Twitter like...
Freaking Jason. But here's the thing. If I'm right, everyone's just going to be like, yay, I totally forgot about this part where I was like hating.
Yeah, I mean, well, like, I was going to point out, my take on like this issue or whatever, the PvP thing, I don't think the game's going anywhere. I don't think we're like losing PvP.
No.
I don't think we're getting less support. I just think
PvP's
it's wild.
all that's left, so I sure hope not.
It's just all that's left, yeah. Which is like fine for me, right? I don't really care. Yeah, I just saw people being like, you included, to be fair, on Twitter, like, yes, this is what we want to see. And I just had such a different reaction to
Bro,
that,
if the game went down full PvE mode, you and I are out of a job, basically.
Yeah, no, I'd do something else.
Well, that sucks. That's terrible. That's why I'm excited. I like what we do. I mean, yeah. I want to be here.
I don't think they would
do
that.
You heard it here first, folks. Majiin hates the Runeterra community. Clip that. Put it out. Doesn't even want to be here. Shoot, what was I going to say? Hold on. I had something. Anyway, that's why I'm excited about it, though. Because like we're going down a path that was basically like PvE is just like not gonna be a thing, right? Like
PvP
it needs
P or PvE.
PvP. Like when we were going down the PvE path, yeah, bro, they're like, hey, we're doing PvE now. This is where we're going. Because like here's the thing, like so they cut coverage of seasonals. So like
okay,
if it goes year over year as is right now,
sure,
for PvP, that is bad. Like, I'm not sticking around for forever for that. Are you? Okay. Like, you're already going to Flesh and Blood to get your competitive fix, right? Because the PvP is not giving us what we need. So, like...
I don't think that will ever change.
That's because you're a pessimist.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I've been saying that for a year now, and it's just been trending that direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Be interesting. I have a little more optimism. I
hope you're right.
It's so free. It's so free for them to just steal what Magic is doing and do it better. Because they've already done it by making the game and like they just like stopped somewhere and like, I don't know, they got distracted and like went off some fucking random path towards PvE. All they had to do, and like hopefully they will do, is just give us more formats, give us limited formats, give us eternal formats, give us like, I don't know, singleton, give us like best of 3 stuff, play for stakes, and like we're fucking laughing at the bank. Like these things exist already. Like just take them, make them a little bit better, make them your own. Give us a reason to play the game all day, which is what we want to fucking do, right? Like take my money and give me ways to play the game that I care about. It's not that hard.
I do want the big ones for me would be a limited format that doesn't suck. Expeditions like doesn't even count.
Wow, you want a limited format? That's like next level.
Yeah, no, I mean I want one. I probably won't play it, but like I want the game to have one. Same thing with PvE. I want people to have good PvE. I want Runeterra to be really good. I think it's a great game. I want it to succeed. And if the direction that the game goes for it to succeed is not one that's exactly what I want, then I'd rather have it go that direction.
Yeah, I don't not want to do PvE, but like, you know, like Sophie's Choice, if I have to choose one of these children, like PvE is getting kicked off the train. Like, let's be real.
Yep. I never liked Timmy anyway. Fuck that kid.
Fucking Sally, you're done.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm with you there. I want limited format because I think that would be a really big deal for people, and I would think it would keep everything a lot more fresh.
And that's supposed to be coming.
And that's supposed to be coming, maybe. And then I want to play for stakes.
Oh yeah.
Jesus Christ, man!
So
Give me a reason to play the goddamn game. We talk about this all the time, but like, I don't care if it's monetary. I don't care if it's sick cosmetics that you can only get by winning things. I don't care if it's a high five from rioters. I don't care. I want to play for stakes. Even like when you get up high in ladder and it actually matters, right? You're like, oh boy, I'm number 5 on ladder. All I want to do is grind for number 1 because now it's like it's kind of stakes. The stakes like clout, right? It's like not real stakes, but like it's stakes. And then you can't play because if you do, you lose your 7-2 tiebreakers.
Mm-hmm.
It's so frustrating. All I want to do is keep jamming ladder at that point.
So, to be fair with all your doomsayerness, Magic was that way for, I don't know, 20, 25 years. You had a rating and you got invites and buys based on your rating that you would camp on and sit at. And so it incentivized you to not play.
Yeah. And did people hate it?
It was super stupid. It was super stupid. Yeah, but we had it for decades. Actual decades.
It was gone when I was in the game. When I started, it wasn't there.
So I mean,
don't know how long it was.
So the game's like 35 plus years old now. I think they had the 35 anniversary.
Is it?
It was like 94. It was made in 94.
Yeah, bro, I'm 26. I was born in 95.
I can't do this math. Hold on.
It'd be 27 years old if it was in 94.
No. Hold on. How old?
Maybe
no,
28.
It must be old. Magic. No.
It must be older then.
Hey. Okay, it was released in 93.
So it was 28.
So it's 28 years old?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Still.
It's not really relevant.
For decades.
It was a long time.
Yeah.
And people hated that.
Yeah. So that's another thing. Like, LoR is young. It's so
young. What was your point?
2 years
What was the point? You're like, speaking of your pessimism, Magic also did this shitty thing. And
they finally changed it after 20 freaking years. So when you're like, I don't think it's going to happen, we're not going to see any changes because we haven't seen any changes. They just released the last region. We just got the first set after the last region.
Misrepresenting what I was saying. I think there will be changes. I don't think competitive will be fleshed out. I do not think we will get the competitive scene that we want. Ever. I don't think it's going to happen.
What if someone... No. Okay, that's going to make a really bad joke.
What if Elon Musk donated bunch of money?
Buy Riot. Make
I know
LoR
that's such
great.
A downer take, too. And I'm, like, not supposed to say that. Or I'm not supposed to, like, think that as, like, a Runeterra player and, like, content creator. But, that's what I think.
That's not true at all. Say what you think. Because, like... everyone gets shit on for saying what they think. This is like something that, I'm kind of like against the grain on this one. I think the majority of people are like, what the fuck is going on? Riot, this is like a bunch of craziness. It does not bode well. It's very easy to take that outlook, because with the pivoting and the pivoting back, like that is not a good look, right? You're like, people are, there's shit going on the top that's not good. And that's 100% true. And I think people don't realize that there has been this big shakeup in the leadership of LoR. And so it's literally like, Trump leaves presidency and Biden comes in and everyone's like, why aren't we building this wall anymore? Which I'm not sure if you guys are still doing that wall or not. But
did Mexico ever pay for it?
They must have. He insisted they would.
Nope. We have parts of a wall. Have you seen pictures of the wall?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. We don't have to get into that.
No, Jesus, no. But long story short, there's a new president, leader, whatever in town. And thus, like a lot of the things prior, the status quo is now gone. It is now different. Whether it's for better or worse, who knows? But it's different. It is different leadership now. Which reminds me, I wonder what Ruben Zhu got promoted to. We know he got promoted, but we never found out how
his
high
title is or whatever. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he seems to have a lot of sway.
Yeah, which he should. He is an absolute beast, and
he's kind of the man. Yeah, we like him a
Yeah,
lot.
and so this is, I think that's where a lot of your pessimist is coming from, looking backwards. And I think that that was
true. Yeah.
that was the old guard. Look, Richard Garfield created Magic the Gathering. He sure as fuck would not have made it into what it is today. Remember how good he did with Artifact? That's right. He's not like the end all be all. So he made Magic.
I actually think he did a really good job with Artifact.
Did he? I thought he shat on it.
Okay, so he just made the concept and then kind of fleshed it out and then left. Valve built the game.
Oh,
so,
really?
like,
That's not how I thought they brought him in.
Valve
I thought they brought him in later.
No, it was like his thing, and then that's what he does. Is he comes in and he has an idea, and the company says, "Sure, we'll make your game, whatever." But I get your analogy. I understand.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it back. I'm sorry, Richard Garfield. You made a game that I love.
I just like Artifact, man. I wish they hadn't shit the bed. I think it was like really close to being really something.
Yeah. Okay. I want to get on that topic, but like real quick here. With the long story short, WotC built Magic.
We don't know what
WotC built Magic, and the Pro Tour was something that was from like almost day one they had and they wanted, and it's been like their big marketing push for forever. And when they chopped it and they got rid of it, and they destroyed organized play. Me, Majiin, Kever, a bunch of other people left the freaking game, and it went so freaking bad that eventually they fired all those people and they brought on a lifetime Magic player, and he brought it back. And now guess what? I'm playing some Magic because I love it. And so I don't know. Long story short, competitive is important. Which I have another article coming about that. We'll dive in that.
Yeah, you should write that one. That's a big thing for you. You've always been really big about that.
Yeah, and the thing is, I think people, when I say competitive, people think esports. They think League of Legends. They think Pro Tour. Hearthstone's thing that they have, the Master Series, or whatever. Or what's the shooter game that like had a pro scene that's like dying? You like they just like released version 2 and it's like pretty shitty. Overwatch.
Okay. Yeah.
So the Overwatch League, which like shat the bed, and people point at these things. They're like, "See, they did competitive. It didn't work." That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about organized play, which is different. What that is something for everyone to play at, no matter what level you're at, whether it's day one or cutting edge. And you don't even really need cutting edge. You just need like kind of cutting edge.
Magic the Gathering pre-release and Friday Night Magic is still under the umbrella of organized play.
Yes. Yes, all of it is. Exactly. Yeah, Gauntlet, all of that.
Just wanted to clarify. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Friday Night Magic all the way to Pro Tour. That's organized play. And so all you need, and so what that is that it's the same as in Flesh and Blood, right? They have a whole system from the bottom to Worlds. And that's what you need. It's a system for people to be able to continually play the game and level up and chase that carrot and have things to build towards and have bigger and bigger events to prepare for. That's what we need. That's what I mean by competitive. By the way, random aside, I asked if we were going to have a roundtable about this new PvP roadmap, and apparently that's a thing that's going to happen, which I think is very exciting. So
I'll pitch my Gauntlet idea.
There you
go. Put cosmetics, card alters, in Gauntlet prizes. Make them once a month. That'd be so sick.
That'd be exciting though. That'd be exciting because and for me, that's like another big like difference because we've been screaming at them first just to have roundtables at all, which we got very recently, and I think they've been great. They've been
roundtable for those who don't know is basically a league partner program. People sit down with some of the devs and they tell us their plans and get feedback. And we discuss. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, and since they did it 4 months ago for the first time, we've asked like, could we do this for organized play? Yeah, it was two like card releases ago, I think.
Oh yeah, it was for like the Udyr patch or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
When he got changed. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and so we've been asking like, hey, can we do this about like the rest of the game? Because we got some thoughts. Let me tell you. And it's always been kind of like, yeah, well, we'll try to put it in. And now, I mean, it makes perfect sense and perfect timing. But now it looks like it's going to happen, and maybe we can actually have some input on some of the scope and future of the game, which would be fucking awesome.
It does have to be tough though. Put yourself in their shoes, right? You have a round table. There's 30 people there, and they're all giving you their ideas, and they're just dog shit. Like all
Just
of them.
don't listen to the idiots. Just don't listen to the.
What if
fucking
we're the idiots? What if our takes are bad?
They're
You never
not.
know.
They're definitely not. Which brings me back to the artifact thing, where like each of these games, Artifact, Magic, Legends of Runeterra, Hearthstone, Flesh and Blood, they all do some of the things very well, and then shit the bed at other things, and they're all so close. Like Magic the Gathering, okay, mana's a bit of a problem, and price is a big problem. Flesh and Blood, super close. If you could play it on digital, what would you think?
Play it online.
Look at his face right now.
If you could play Flesh and Blood online, in 5 years, it'd be the biggest card game in the world.
Yeah, but their whole thing is it's Flesh and Blood. You must play in person.
I don't actually believe that. I want to rescind that statement. I don't actually believe that.
Okay, well, yeah, I don't know. All I know is you would be ridiculously happy. I still haven't played the game enough to like know, but
I love Flesh and Blood. Yeah.
Legends of Runeterra. If it just Flesh and Blood literally just copied organized play from Magic, copy pasted,
screenshotted their article, and then Control F Magic and wrote Flesh and Blood, and then pasted it.
Done, and it's been super popular. It's been popping off. Like, this is amazing. If Runeterra just did that, they would be like, boop, killing it. But no, they went down this crazy PvE path.
It's tough. Well, I mean, it takes a lot of money and a lot of infrastructure to do stuff like that, right? And like Runeterra, I just don't think Runeterra makes money, which is like not what it's really supposed to do.
Okay, but they still could have moved into that other direction, right? Like there's
you could have stuff like that. You could have buy-in tournaments in client, like the Magic Opens. I understand that's like a whole can of worms there, but like, oh my god, do you know how much money I would spend? As much as they'd let me.
If what? If it was like arena,
if we had Magic Opens, like the Magic Arena Opens, on Runeterra, hell yeah, man,
so good.
Those are so sick. Love those.
Yeah,
I want to play those. I don't even like Magic,
dude. I play in them like almost all the time, and I have almost no shot. I haven't played the format. I don't know the cards. I'm just in there. So good, so fun. I love it. Yeah. Take my money.
Has anyone ever talked to you about a different game and then talked about a tournament and you almost just show up?
Yep.
Yeah, because I do that all the time. I'm like, stakes? We're playing. I can get a cool card for a game I don't play? I'll be there.
Yeah, I want a little bit more than that. I want some cash money that I probably can't win.
Yeah, I like incentives.
You go.
I was just gonna say for Runeterra, like it's not hard, you know. I mean, maybe it is hard, but like you don't need a lot, right? I mean, I was talking to you guys in the team call about I think if you had a tournament and if you got X wins before you got X losses, kind of like Expedition or Gauntlet or whatever in this tournament, and it was the Ionia Cup or the Piltover and Zon Cup, and if you win it over the course of the 2 weeks that the Piltover and Zon Cup is, it's only on weekends, whatever. Then you get this full art animated version of Mystic Shot. That's it. I would pay real money to play in that.
There's a million things they could do. How about this? How about they just had $1,000 open tournament every weekend, and they had it offline even, and that's it.
Offline? What does that mean?
Like not in client, because apparently that's hard for them to do or whatever. If you do it in client, obviously that's ideal. Yeah. But like, which is so like Magic Arena runs like all their pro tournaments off of Magic Arena. They don't do it in client.
Yeah,
they never have.
Oh my god, it's miserable trying to run a tournament on Magic Arena.
I guess
it's so bad. They were running into a bunch
Swiss
of problems with it for like Mythic Invitationals and stuff.
Yeah, because they run the other ones. They run the other ones,
yeah,
the opens and things. All that stuff. Yeah. But so yeah, run it offline. And then what about this? What if you move the buys from ladder onto like the winners of those tournaments every weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, there's the winners of the tournament every weekend. Or just like
Gauntlet leaderboard. I don't know, something.
How about that Riot? This is gonna be a little awkward, but like, how about that Riot?
You say the fist bump card back? No. The what? Oh, the Riot Grand Prix.
Riot Grand Prix. Tell the people what the Riot Grand Prix is.
Okay, the Riot Grand Prix. Most of you probably don't know this. There's these tournaments called Riot Grand Prix, which are basically for League Partner Program members and someone if they want to invite them. And they do them for all the Riot games: League of Legends, Valorant, TFT. I don't know about Valorant actually, but I know it's for League and TFT and Runeterra. And they're just like, they're almost an in-house in a way, you know what I mean? Because it's for the league partner program members. But like, I don't know. I really feel like they should advertise about these a little bit because no one knows about them.
It's a $1,500 tournament prize pool. Top three make prizes, and you're allowed to invite a friend, which I always do to try and get back to the community. Because I mean, why not?
Yeah, we always invite someone. Yeah, and then we lose them every time.
Yeah, we lose them every time. So I originally invited Monte Cristo, and he won. And then you invited.
What am I? Who won? That was earlier, I think. And then I invited Austin Yost with the
Austin
most,
Yost, who won. And I invited Greg the Gray, who came in third. They beat both of us.
So if you need help paying your rent, let me know for the next Riot Grand Prix.
Yeah, and so here's the thing, though. It pays out top three of all the LPP members. Me, Majiin, and Puffball Panda showed up to play in the event. There was 3 of us, and we invited 3 people. So there was 6 people for a top 3 payout, and Majiin and I both didn't make it. Awkward.
Yeah, isn't that kind of funny? Yeah.
But long story short, take that money, have an open tournament. There's like $1,000 prize pool every weekend, open tournament, $4,000 a month. It's like absolute nothing. Your Riot Games, maybe you could bump that up to like 5,000 a weekend. Like
just put it in Gauntlet or whatever you have to do, right? Just make a 7-win Gauntlet or something, like literally like Magic Arena Open. 2 days.
Yes, I mean that would be ideal. I'm putting the bar so low that they could trip over it. That they literally like they fall over the bar.
Yeah, I feel like they would try to avoid third-party things.
Well, they should after Worlds.
Shots fired. But yeah, the dream would be to have basically Magic Arena Opens copy and pasted into.
Oh, that'd be good.
Into LOR.
Into LOR, yes.
Also, full art versions of cards. Prismatics suck. They're so bad. They're actively bad. Sorry, whoever designed Prismatics. No, I'm not sorry. No, I'm not. You put a slightly gold fat border on the card.
Who the fuck approved that? Yeah, who looked at that? It was like,
probably they're probably like, shit, guys.
The business.
We got to launch Prismatics this patch and we got nothing.
Yeah, I mean, like, we cut them some slack. The rest of the game's fucking beautiful.
It's so nice, yeah. It's so nice. I specifically, I have a bone to pick with Prismatics because I was so excited about them.
Yeah,
I love cosmetics. I love them.
Yeah,
but skins aren't enough.
Gwent has that cool, like you were sharing, the cool art. So this is the thing. Cool why we forgot to add Gwent into the mix of the other games. Why can't one game just take the best parts of all of these games and put them together? Do you think Flesh and Blood and LOR to me are the ones that have a chance to do this? Magic is actually pretty much doing it, except for the cost, which they keep fucking up. And
are they
land
fucking
system.
Up though? Like, to them, they're not.
They're printing
printing money.
They are printing money, which though allows them to do a lot of shit, and they are doing a lot of shit. So tough to say on that one.
If monetary reasons isn't a concern, Magic the Gathering is doing all of the things.
They're crushing pretty hard.
The game system's pretty archaic.
With the land system, but, they've found ways around that a bit though, with like double-sided cards and the lands actually having a utility and stuff. They came out with it being tied to paper was their big problem, and now they've come out with a format that is digital only, like, and they can change it however they want. Stuff.
Tweak it. I think the best player experience across the board is Legends of Runeterra. Free-to-play game, feels fantastic, runs very well, everything's very smooth, easy to get cards. It plays snappy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Great animations and everything. Like Runeterra feels good to play. And I think that's that. Flesh and Blood has, in my opinion, the best organized play system, which is basically they took Magics. They took
10 years ago.
Magics. Yeah, well, they took old Magics, and then they took the prize support, and they also just threw in cards that you could, like, versions of cards you could only get through organized play, which was a fantastic idea because these cards are worth, like, big bills.
It cost them about 5 cents to make these. and then they now are giving them out for like $1,000 or $10,000 because they're
people
so
can sell
freaking
them.
rare. And so rather than like pulling money out of their pocket and being like, pay it all out, they're just like, oh, here's a nickel for you. You're rich now. You got a bunch of money.
Yeah,
Works
great.
for everyone. It's great.
It's also, in my opinion, the best 1v1 game. As far as like the actual gameplay, I think Flesh and Blood is best. But if I had to choose between Runeterra and Flesh and Blood, I'd pick Runeterra. Because
just in general, like gun to your head, like
in general, if I had to pick one, I have to give it, and not taking into consideration that I do this for a living, right?
I was gonna say,
like that's off the table. It's just game I'm going to play. I'd pick Runeterra. I love League of Legends IP. It feels good to play. I could play it at home. I could play it on my phone. I could play it more casually, right?
What if Flesh and Blood was digital?
That's tough. That's honestly really tough for me. Because Runeterra is relaxing for me to play. Flesh and Blood is playing a game of Flesh and Blood feels like queuing up a game of chess for me.
Damn.
I mean, in the way I approach it, I'm ready. I'm try-harding. I'm in the zone, right? Runeterra, I get to boot up and and have fun and cast these stupid big splashy effects and like it's fun, right? It's fun. Flesh and Blood, I get most of the fun out of the collecting. I forgot how nice it is to build a collection. It feels good.
Bro, yeah. I hate to admit this. Like, I've been playing some Arena and I need some cards. Then I'm like, I can build this deck. I have the cards. I'm like, I need a couple more for this one. I have to buy some packs and open them, which I'm like, I hate. But then I get the things. I'm like, I have all the cards now. And like,
it triggers the dopamine in my brain.
But it triggers the dopamine. And I'm like,
gives me the feel-good chemicals.
I got all these now. Now I'm good to go.
You don't have that with Runeterra.
Which is ironic. Which is super ironic.
Because you get everything for free. But I don't play games unless there's a sense of progression. And like in Runeterra, the sense of progression is my rank, which we talked about. Sometimes I can't even play ranked. And sometimes it doesn't matter. And the other sense of progression is, I guess, my player skill, which is cool.
There's something to say about the chase also.
Yeah. Or like, I don't know, a super rare version of something. It's fun. It's a good time. So, yeah. I mean, I kind of miss that. And so that's nice with Flesh and Blood. But I play Flesh and Blood to win. I play a game of Runeterra for a lot of different reasons. I play this deck because I think it's really fun. I play this card because I think it's super sick and I like doing the thing, even if it's not very good. I'm doing this instead of this because it's funnier. That doesn't come up in Flesh and Blood. It's not that kind of game. It's more like chess.
It's more strategic, yeah.
It's much more strategic. It's very like you're trying to eke out like very small advantages. There's no big splashy effects, right? Like it's not like
I see what you mean now by like comparing it to chess. Whereas like with Magic or LOR, you're like, I got my Timmy deck. Or like, I'm playing all fatties.
Yeah, I'm
like,
gonna do my Johnny thing. I like this sick combo because it's dope, right? And like you can not really do that in Flesh and Blood. I was like, you can kinda, and then I was like, no, you can't. You can't. So it's different. The reason I play the games are different.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And do you think there's any chance that Flesh and Blood is ever like, hey, what if we just want to print a bunch of money? You guys want to make a bunch of money? Yeah. Okay, let's make it digital.
In like 10 years.
Yeah.
They'll
maybe less.
It's going to turn into a really big company because they're like succeeding. They're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
They'll go public.
They're going to go public, and then you can't say no to shareholders forever.
Yeah.
And the investors, the big wigs with the big money, are going to start throwing their big dicks around and
That's
say,
right.
I want more money. And they're
people with the big dick energy who's like, sorry, there's a huge pot of cash over there that you do not want to go pick up. Yeah, how about no, we're
pick it up, or I'm gonna find
getting that.
And I'm gonna find someone who will.
Exactly.
So like, eventually, yes, but I don't think it'll. I think it'll be 5+ years, at the least.
Yeah, fair. Okay,
we can talk a single bit about actual Runeterra in these.
Let's talk a little quick.
Okay, really quick.
So I have not played a lot, and I'm kind of at first I was like, I gotta get in there, I gotta put some reps in. And like, what do I do? I want to play Marvel Snap. I want to play Magic because there's some tournaments coming up. Like, I want to play League, LOR because I want to be relevant. But I'm kind of good with it. I do have to try and carry our team in like a couple hours today, but I'm kind of good with it. I'm like going to take like a little mini break until the patch comes out because I kind of need it because I'm burnt out as a motherfucker, and then just hit it hard after that, leading up to seasonals.
Yeah,
but
I mean, you're doing a lot.
Jesus Christ,
working full time, doing the website, all the Mastering Terror stuff, and then trying to like be a real competitor on top of it is like, it's so much. People don't quite understand how much goes into trying to be one of the best. You know what I mean? It's like, it's all your time. MTuck's one of the best ladder players in the NA server. You want to know why? Because he plays more than you.
Literally.
Yeah. He's really good. He's really good because he puts the time in and he's very smart and everything. But like, it takes a lot of time, and you can't just like pick a deck and like get pretty good at it and then spike a tournament. You can, but like if you want consistent results, it's not that easy. Yep. And so people will be like, how good are you at Runeterra? And I'll be like, right now, not very good. You know? Give me a month. Yeah.
I can be the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how that works. Okay, but let's talk about the meta though. So Thralls everywhere right now, right?
That's
the big bad.
Big bad. The big bad is Thralls and Red Viego, or Viego Noxus Legion Deserter. Those are the two boogeymans right now. Boogeymen, if you will. They're very good. Last week we left off, I was talking something about how Noxus decks are on the rise because Demacia decks were the flavor of the week before with Alawi and everything. Then we had to see how the meta adapted from there, and it is now from there. And the only thing I'm seeing is cheese decks are picking up, like Fizz Ribbon, right? Faint HD type shit, you know?
Yeah, we'll talk about
that kind of stuff. Shout out Faint. And then Targon Go Wide with Winding Light are seeing a lot more play. So those kind of decks, Echo Zillion, decks that do something very, very powerful that like the Viego decks aren't quite ready to handle, you know?
Right.
Like the Viego or Thralls like just might not be able to quite deal with it. Because right now, if you're just trying to approach the format on power, you're gonna get muscled out. Like Thralls and Red Viego just do like really, really powerful things.
They hit hard.
Mm-hmm.
Fast and hard. Yeah, so it makes sense that we see that a lot, right? When when decks like that rise to the top, and then the answer to it is to get extremely linear.
Yes, yeah. It is my opinion that the longer a format stays around, the more linear it becomes.
Yeah, I mean we see this with Magic, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can literally go down. There's for anyone that doesn't know, in Magic there's like a format that the last 2 years of cards, 4 years of cards, 10 years of cards, 20 years of cards, kind of thing. And as you go down, it just gets like more and more linear until when you hit the bottom at like Legacy or whatever, when it's like basically all the cards with the ban list, it's like, people are winning on turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 kind of thing, like consistently.
Executing your own game plan is almost always better than trying to stop your opponents.
Yeah, it becomes a bit of a game like that. And so we're going to see that in Runeterra because as the card pool gets bigger and bigger and bigger, these linear decks get more powerful and more tools where they're just like, if you try to combat all of them, like you just can't do it. Like a deck can't beat a Zerarelia and Thralls and like a burn deck and like I don't know, Viego, yeah,
or an Ionia deck, right? Like Lee Sin, and that's just kind of always the case. But like if you're a super linear, you have a puncher's chance. There's like some Magic article that I specifically remember this one line. It said something along the lines of, "It's usually better to be aggressive because there's no wrong threats, only wrong answers. Like any threat can kill your opponent, but if your answers don't line up, you lose, and that's why this player chooses to mostly play linear, aggressive style. Not even like aggressive is the wrong word, right? It's things that have their own game plan. There's an actual word for this, I bet, but
that's actually one of the most famous sayings in Magic. Is there
are no fantastic,
there are no wrong threats.
There are no wrong threats, only wrong answers.
Only wrong answers.
And that changed the way I view strategy games as a whole. Because, like, I wanted to be the guy with all the answers, but, like, if your answers don't line up, you just lose. Yeah. And you still have to win the games even when your answers do line up, right? But, like, And so you take a deck like Lee Sin, Zoe Lee, which had a lot of answers. It was a control deck, right? But like it also had this plan, this very powerful thing that forced your opponent to deal with it or die. It either flipped Zoe or it killed you with Lee Sin, the Lee Sin combo. And so you'll see a lot of control decks, especially as cards and decks get better and better and better, have these things. Like the best control decks in the game have always had these. TLC had these. They have these I win buttons, right? They have a game plan, and they're trying to keep you off balance till they can do their game plan. Darkness does this. It flips the switch and kills you. And like sometimes you just can't deal with that. And so it gets to kill you without even stopping you, right? It doesn't have to control anymore because now it's you're just dying. That's the best form of control, is just killing your opponent.
Exactly. Ending the game, yeah.
Yep. I know this is rambly, but
No, it's good. I want to ramble a little bit too. I actually realized this so early on in my Magic career, having like tricks and like removal, especially unlimited, was like, ooh, like that's where you want to be. Like get that good removal.
ooh la la. I'm the sneaky player with the cool things.
Yeah, I got all the instants and I draw cards and stuff. It's fantastic. And then inevitably you just get run over by stuff. And I learned somewhere along the way that like just having like random vanilla, as we would call them, threats in the limited. So these are just like units that like are just like a 3 mana, 3/3 static.
3/3 for 3. Don't do no text.
Anything else. Are actually just totally fine. If you play enough of those, sometimes your opponent just dies. They just don't have enough stuff, and they just
your opponent's the one with the tricks and the counter spells, and they're
and their stuff doesn't line up quite right, and they die. And then I shifted all the way to just being super threat heavy. I'm like, I'm just going to play a guy every single turn of this game, and then you try to deal with that. And like as units get better and better, especially like you can't keep up.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see that in Runeterra.
Yep. This is not to say control decks will be gone, because they never will. That will never happen. It never happens in any card games. They just change. They just adapt. Right? Even since like the beginning of the games, control decks have had an I win button. Anivia Harrowing, Ezreal Karma combo. Right? Like they have their own thing that they're trying to do. They're like very powerful thing. It will just usually over time become more and more about the thing and little less about control.
Yeah, and so back to your point about like the best control decks having that I win button.
What was I talking about?
Hard control is like has never been particularly good in Runeterra.
Or like
and so this
period.
No, it's been good in Magic.
It has been good in Magic.
Yeah, there's been Drago decks that have been very good.
That's true. It's definitely not supposed to be good in Runeterra. No.
And you can't. And so that's why your control decks have to have that like what do you call it? That like they turn the corner to I win, not to like I'm in a pretty good position and
I have 2 denies and a guiding touch. You can't beat me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How surprised were you when you played Runeterra for like one of the first times and you had deny and your opponent played a unit and you're like, why can't I counter it?
Yes, very much so, dude. I remember the early days
for me.
I remember like the first seasonals. I had played for like 2 weeks. I didn't know anything. I know and so like a lot of people maybe coming from League had some idea of like the regions and what they kind of meant and stuff. No idea. I had no idea. And so I'd be playing against like an Ionia deck. I'd be like, do they have any mass removal? Like, is there any like? Do they have like a rat? Do they? I asked Nick makes plays that. He was like, no, the trap.
No, bro. Yeah.
Like,
they have the worst card ever. Eye of the Dragon. It ruins everything.
Poor Nick. Yeah, that took me a long time to figure out. Like, okay, this region does this, and this region does that. There's a lot of them.
That's pretty cool.
Colors were easier to figure out, I feel like. Red burns you. White heals you. Green stomps
Black kills things.
Black kills
blue
things.
Cheats.
Blue draws cards. Yeah, blue's cheaty pants. Exactly. It's perfect.
I played some Flesh and Blood right over the last couple of weeks. The Pro Quests, which are pro.
That's right. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
You've won your second Pro Quest. Go to France, baby.
Yep, going to France. Gonna be super fun. Gonna be very expensive. But I was playing and I took a picture of the second one that I won. Yeah, because I won both on a weekend. And so I was taking a picture of the second one, and I'm holding up the Flesh and Blood cards, and I have the Magic the Gathering shirt on that says nope, but the O is the blue mana symbol. And so someone in the comments on my tweet was like, wow, an LOR streamer wins a Flesh and Blood tournament wearing a Magic the Gathering shirt. Truly a man of the people.
Card gamer's good at card game.
Yep.
Okay, what else is going on in the meta? While we're wrapping up here.
Okay, yeah, we should probably talk a little bit about stuff. Echo Zillion seeing a resurgence. I think I kind of mentioned this.
Makes sense.
But it's a linear, powerful deck. It's hard to interact with in a positive way. It's very good. So what was my third pick? Yeah, okay, because I also wrote an article. It's on masterruneterra.com. Check it out. For premium subscribers.
Subscribe now.
Subscribe now. Smash that like button. But anyway, it was like the 3 best decks for ladder climbing, and this was posted last week. For this week, and I picked Thralls, Red Viego, and then the last one I picked was the Bard Galio-esque deck, like Bard Demacia deck, because it gets so big. It was like specifically to beat those other 2 decks, because your guys get so big, or at least like Thralls. Viego's tough, but like you beat Thralls because your guys just get bigger than Thralls. And like Blighted Ravine and Avalanche don't do anything. And so we're seeing a decline of that deck now because it can't deal with these like super linear strategies. It doesn't have a lot of interaction, but you can still play that. Or we're gonna see kind of what happens over the next week. This week's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, things are kind of shaking out. What do we have? We have 2 weeks left until the patch? I think so, right?
I think so.
Yeah, pretty sure. So yeah, the next couple of weeks will be interesting. Definitely interesting to see.
Runeterra Academy for you today. Good luck and the rest of the team. I hope you take it down.
Thank you.
I need you to take it down.
Ironically, I was super prepared last season, and I was like, "Let me go first, Kever, because like you're a crusher. We'll put you in the back in case like we need you. You'll just
anchor,
the anchor, right?" And he was like, "No, I'm going first," and he 3-0'd them. And I did get to play, and then I sat out the next weekend, and you guys shut the bed. And that was the end of our season. So now I'm horribly unprepared, and we'll see how it goes.
Do you know what position you're in? You playing first, second, third?
No, I don't think you have to pick until like it starts.
Okay,
kind of
which
thing.
is like
I think
today,
you can just like,
right?
I mean, like so like you pick, they play, and they're like, oh, okay, we lost. Like fucking Kever, you're in there. I think that's how it works. I don't know.
We lost to the aggro decks. Let's bring our control deck in. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. I think you get to do it that way. I'm not 100%
I gotta head out,
but I think so. All right, real quick.
On its way.
First time we've ever done this. Everyone in the comments, I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on the meta.
If you got this far.
Exactly. No, I'm going to reward them. So, everyone who got this far, fucking love you. First of all, you're the fucking real MVP. Put your comments down there. Let me know what you're playing, what you think of the meta, and we're going to pick one of you to give a month subscription to the website. Also, on the Apple iTunes podcast description notes, I don't know, I hear other podcasts do this. Somewhere in Apple and iTunes, you can leave a comment on the podcast. Do that. Like it. Comment on it. We'll pick one of you guys also to get a free month of subscription because we appreciate you for making it to the end of this podcast. You're fucking awesome. We love you. Good luck, Bay, in Vegas. He's going down to Vegas to play in some Flesh and Blood tournaments. Good luck, me and the rest of the team in the Aegis.
Yeah, I want you guys to have more luck than me.
2 days.
I want you guys to win this more than I want to win Flesh and Blood stuff this weekend.
That's not true at all. You love winning with Flesh and Blood stuff.
I do love winning. Right. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, you know what? I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You the real
I don't want to
MVP.
be out in the first round of RA. Of single.
No, me neither. We got this. All right, we're going to cut it here. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.